Liberty Village was a housing development, a 31-unit housing development in Malone neighborhood that was done by the developer Fernando Pages. Fernando did a lot of study on affordable housing, trying to discover a design element and execution of affordable housing principles that were also well designed, that would fit into the neighborhood so that they would serve the needs of the buyers in terms of the price and the energy efficiency and the way the houses worked, as well as be a visual and aesthetic improvement, or at least consistent with the neighborhood. A project like this has many people who make it happen. Unquestionably, the driving force behind it was Fernando's interest in affordable housing and design. Without Fernando, without the developer, and without somebody with Fernando's vision, it simply couldn't have happened. The other element was the great design help he got from Jeffrey Childs and Sean Craig. The architects were able to work with Fernando to really develop some of his concepts, take Fernando's basic concept, basic vision, and do the design work to really get the product where it is. Then there's a piece of it that involves a little different layout, and it gets into planning issues. So the city planning department initially worked closely with Fernando to figure out how to allow this kind of project and kind of color outside the box a little bit. And then urban development was involved with helping with some of the initial funding and acquisition of the property. And then I don't work at NeighborWorks anymore, but when we were there, my homebuyer coordinator, Mary Coffey, who worked very closely with homebuyer training and qualifying the buyers, and then the entire neighborhood was skeptical about the project at first, but I think it's been well embraced by the project. And then the home buyers themselves, on a project like this, they're not just buying individual houses, they're buying into a whole community there. And with the nine different nationalities that live in that community, for that to be as nice a project as it is, it also is a tribute to the home buyers and their ability to cooperate with one another.
Professor Robert E. Knoll taught generations of students to enjoy the rich beauty of the English language during his 40 years at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Speaking for Robert Knoll are friends Ron Hull and James B. Milliken.
Well, he was a Shakespeare scholar, and if you read Julius Caesar, the highest compliment in that play that Brutus gives Mark Antony is when he says, "This was a man." And those simple words describe Robert Knoll to me. A person who was well educated, very gifted in so many ways, but who devoted his life to the people he loved, of course, first of all. He had a wonderful family, has a wonderful family. But to students, his teaching, that driving force of sharing with those students, mentoring students through the years, and sharing his great abilities with us through television. This was a man.
Robert was well known he was a favorite. He was a great performer. So full of energy and enthusiasm for, well, not only for the subject, but for life. But of course, the subject was life. He taught Shakespeare primarily, and you learn something every day in Robert Knoll's class.
His influence continues. He has an impact on all of our lives. I think this award's a good example of that he's still out there, a standard bearer for excellence, for education, for intelligence, intelligent conversation, as I said, on television. He made a real mark for all of us.
He was one of a kind, you could stop many people who've been in his classroom and ask him that question, or who were his friends, and ask that question and get the same answer. He was a unique individual, and he loved what he did. He loved his family, he loved his work, he loved his students, he loved life. And I will never forget his just sheer joy at doing what he did so well.
He was a singular man. He had this enormous spirit, and he made a huge difference.
Well, once again, thank you all for joining us here tonight. I would like to... I almost forgot. As you will soon see, tonight's most attractive winners, Lincoln's Symphony Orchestra.
Lincoln Symphony Orchestra has just concluded its 82nd season. Lincoln Symphony Orchestra strives to educate its adult audience by introducing them to new music and experiences, while educating Lincoln's youth by visiting the schools and through its Young People's Concerts. Accepting the award are the Executive Director, Barbara Zach, and Music Director, Ed Polachek.
Oh, there are several aspects of what goes on here in the community at Lincoln that I find incredibly, compellingly attractive. And I think perhaps the most important aspect is the people, not only in the orchestra, not only the orchestra players, but the community itself. There's a very sincere and very honest love of everything that's beautiful and everything that the arts has to offer. And that magnetism keeps bringing me back ever more strongly. I first and foremost have to thank our orchestra. Our musicians are, we are an incredible family of musicians who are there to serve, first of all, the music, which then I think is a great gift to the community. But in order for a great symphony orchestra to function, it has, many aspects behind it that are incredibly important and very powerful. Our board is in that category.
And then everyone who contributes financially to the orchestra. We have people who've given $100 for 30 years, and we have people who give $1,000 every year, $5,000. And all of those the financial contributions are an amazing show of support for us. And so the money is important, but also the validation from the community that we matter is really important.
Without that support, we couldn't be where we are. And I would also have to add that I sincerely want to thank Mayor Beitler, as I feel extremely honored, and on behalf of Lincoln Symphony Orchestra, and as music director of Lincoln Symphony Orchestra, I want to express our deep appreciation and gratitude for this award.